3.
We'll do it live.
Now we're live! Erin Kennedy. The general craziness of it, the impact on your life.
We have gone through so many stories and we said, you know what? This should not be kept to the two of us.
Ow.
Hello.
Ow, Erin, I'm
You jamming
old
out?
now.
You hurt your back. Yeah.
You know what? It's not even like a hurt it, like where it's going to be any kind of like lasting damage. But I like tweaked something, like a muscle.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's just
I was reading
annoying me.
there was some refrigerator magnet where growing old is regretting that you committed to doing something at night and wondering how you hurt your back.
I feel like, I don't know, it's just like random things where I'm like, well, and it was funny because I'm sure I did it at CrossFit, but nothing hurt then. It started hurting when I was blow drying my hair. And I thought to myself, are you freaking kidding me right now? That like, ow. I was like,
was it a very athletic hair drying movement that you were doing?
very vigorous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very vigorous.
By the way, is that a thing that you cared about back in our TV days? Like, were you always looking for the latest and greatest hair dryer, or was it just like whatever?
No, because I never dried my hair. I would shower at night and go to bed and it would be, dry by morning.
Which it's like a miracle that you can do that. Like I would look like a lion mane.
But my hair is so straight and so soft. Yeah, no.
It is so
also, I didn't wash it
crazy.
that often, so.
Yeah, well, that's true. I had to wash mine more often. I was always looking for like the latest and greatest hair dryer. So just so you guys know, like Erin and I have plans to share all these learnings with you as we move along.
Didn't you like the Dyson one eventually?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. And like I've tried multiple hair dryers. I still have one that was my all-time favorite. It was yellow. I loved it. But it didn't last that long. I had to buy like 3 of them in a 4-year period. That's crazy.
The one blow dryer I have, I think I bought at CVS maybe 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, if
That's
only
just how I
Erin.
is.
If
So
only.
we're doing wardrobe do's today.
Yeah.
We did wardrobe don'ts before. So if anybody was very into that episode, this one is good too for many different reasons. But Megan, you were saying we learned probably a fair amount of decades spent looking at yourself on TV, learning what looks good and what doesn't look good. Things that I still can't bring myself to wear jewel necklines.
I have so many things now that I won't wear because I know it's not ideal on camera. And it's funny because while I know that's going to translate to any pictures or like even just any selfies I might take, I'm kind of probably missing out on a large chunk of clothing options that would look good in like real life. Because
what you're wearing now obviously wouldn't have been allowed on TV.
Would not have been allowed on TV. Like I like it. It's comfy. It has a cool vibe to me, but like it's not a good color for me. If you look at it, like, I mean, it's like, it kind of doesn't make me pop, as they would say.
I was just going to say pop.
See? But like, for instance, look at Erin. Like, I feel like that color is really good on you.
This color is good. This would have been touch and go depending on the news director. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. Also, in regards to what you're wearing though, and I mean, I learned this in Texas, my very first job, any kind of like horizontal buttons. So like double breasted was never allowed because horizontal lines make you look wider,
That is 100% the case. And like, so it is true. Like if you're going to wear horizontal striping, probably not ideal. But we were never wearing striping of any sort. Like I also don't recall really wearing much vertical stripes unless it was like really thin, like pinstripes that almost looked black on TV. You know what I mean?
Well, that's because we weren't allowed to wear patterns. And I think that lines would generally fall under the category of pattern, right?
Pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All
right. So let's just get into it. Let's take turns again like we did last time.
Okay.
This is just a do list that we found floating in the news internet.
Yes. Which, by the way, you can find these, like they're online, lots of places. Yeah. And this is going to sound silly, but a lot of what you might learn from what is a do on TV. Now, some of it's stupid. We've talked about that before, like ridiculous stuff. But some of it really does have a lot of validity to it. And it can apply to like how you look when you're doing a little Instagram story, like to that point. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
You go
You can
first.
take the top.
Oh, me. Okay. All right. Do wear clothes that fit. Well, that's true. I mean, like, look, that one's kind of a no-brainer, you would think. But to that point, Erin, I have found that sometimes it's better to have something a little bit baggier and just arrange it in a picture, like tuck it to the back or even clip it, than having it pull too tight. Too tight.
Yeah, but look at the specifics in this one. Jacket sleeves at or just beyond the bone of the wrist, fit to
Right.
your shoulder width, torso fitted to your silhouette, not pulling tightly, not baggy.
Not pulling tightly was a problem for me.
It was a problem on my hips.
Was a problem on my boobs. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, even like really, because for me, and that was a big issue because a dress would fit my butt, a dress would fit my waist. I would not be able to zip it over my boobs. So then I would have to buy the bigger size up, which was then big everywhere else. So yeah, it was kind of an issue.
Right. And then tailoring would generally cost, I mean, if you're fitting a silhouette to it, at least $25, right?
Yeah, I
So
kind
that
of
was
just
always
didn't
tough.
do it. I would
Yeah.
just wear it a little too big on the bottom.
Yeah. All right, you want to do number 2?
Yeah. Okay. So choose colors that work with, not against the set. Okay. Whatever about the set, because we're applying this to like real life now. Here's our learning. All right. Black is a color that will slim you for real. They maybe didn't want us to wear a ton of black, but if you're going to put black on, you're going to look thinner. Bright colors though. So we're talking like greens, blues, reds.
Jewel tones. Yeah. What it says
Are,
there.
yeah, they
Yeah.
are fabulous on camera. Period. End of story. Very few people are going to look great in gray like I have on right now. Beige. White is a hit or miss depending, but sometimes it's too bright for the camera. So, I mean, I think
Right.
it's really important to think about colors. And you remember that whole thing when we were kids, Erin, like, are you a summer, a spring, a fall, or a winter? Like, that stuff actually has some validity to it though, because the colors you wear that look good on you, wear them. My kids, they just had their school picture day. And Leo came to me like wanting to wear like a stripy, it was kind of like a soccer jersey. And I was like, absolutely not.
Because
We
the
need a
stripes.
solid color. And
Yeah.
like the girls have been paying attention for longer and like they know, they won't even try. Like Willow had a shirt with flowers and a blue shirt. And she was like, the blue one, right? Because it's plain and it'll look better in my picture. I was like, that's right.
Making mama proud.
That's it. Like, let's play the rules.
So, but like you said, so this one on the choose colors that work with, not against the set. But yeah, so it says the jewel tones, richer warm tones, stark whites, flat blacks, and some reds. Not all can drain skin tone color. See color palette, which we talked about before. This one to me is still too muted for my life. I
Yeah.
still like a good hot pink. I like, magentas. Yeah. Well,
Brighter green, brighter
think-
blue. Yeah.
yeah, yellow
For
is
sure.
supposed to be one of those colors that like doesn't make anybody look better, but I still think for morning news it was always
Okay, stop.
a
This
good
is a
wake-up
test
color.
for you, Erin Kennedy.
Tell me.
In all how many years were you on TV?
I
think
17.
Yeah, same, about the same for me. Okay, so here's my question for you. If you had to pick 2 colors to wear, what would you wear and why?
I would probably do something like this, like a pinky red and probably a bright navy. Does that
Why?
make sense?
Yes, it does.
Because I look best in it.
Okay. So for me, I would pick a bright blue, like the blue on the banner that you guys see down, like where our names are. That color. I know that looks great to me, and I would pick black. Like those are the 2 colors I know for 100% that I look and feel good in and always like look good. But
Yeah,
what
but
would
what
you
if not
absolutely-
black? What if not black? I don't consider black.
If not black?
Yeah.
No, black.
So you're right. I do know you. That's true.
I'm
Oh, I
replying
can't wear
to
black.
you.
How about this black?
But this is a warmer black. Can't you tell? I don't know. I just like it's a color I love.
Okay. So number 3, women layer with contrasting colors. For example, wear a light or medium blue blouse or shell with a navy jacket. This to me is almost passé. I mean, I don't know any.
What are we back in the
current
90s wearing
Yeah,
Casper
TV
suits?
people who are wearing
Bye.
jackets.
Yeah.
That being
one's-
said, when I worked in Texas, Megan, I don't know if you found this in your market. This might have been more specific to Texas. Although I did work with a woman in Ohio who would wear scarves.
Oh, I have worked with a lot of women who've worn scarves. Usually it was older women who didn't like how their neck was looking anymore. which I get.
Especially
And that's
now.
another thing, like, especially, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this in your for real lives and stuff, but like if we're all looking down now like this, like the lines on necks are getting more pronounced earlier because think about it. If you're lying in bed and you're on your phone and you're on your phone and you're on your computer, we're doing a lot more of this than
Yeah.
nature intended.
Yeah.
Just
Look at your
saying.
phone like this now. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
start
Oh,
Botoxing your
once
neck.
when I was first told that, I started doing this, but like literally that lasted maybe a day because I was like, "Okay, this is super uncomfortable." I guess
Severe
it's
neck
got
pain.
neck wrinkles. Yeah.
Um,
I could
yeah.
never pull off a scarf though. I always felt
But
stupid.
You know, so, in my
I never
world of
tried.
things, I could never pull off, of course, scarves, but that's just not my style. Cardigans, I would always be like, "Oh my gosh, that's such a cute cardigan." But I would put it on and I just felt like I looked like a serial killer who was trying to hide it.
I thought you were gonna say like Grandma Moses. No, serial
Well,
killer trying to hide it.
it didn't suit me. I don't know. I felt like 12.
And I totally get that. You know what
Yeah.
never worked for me was like, some people will wear those dresses that are like they're kind of short maybe, but they're a little bit baggier. And it always like on girls who are thinner or with no boobs, it looks super cute. If I put that on, it looks like a maternity dress because my boobs are
Mhm.
sticking the dress out and then it doesn't go down. It's like, it's just not cute. So I think it's
Yeah.
like, basically what we're trying to say is they may have put those rules out for us for a reason of like, this is what will look best on you and whatever. But through our 15 plus years in TV, both of us have learned what looks good and what doesn't look good. And
And
they're
now
very different things on
there is
camera.
a whole different, I mean, there's a different part of the equation too when you're talking about what looks good when you're standing versus what looks good when you're sitting. I
Yeah.
definitely had some blouses or dresses, more specifically blouses, where they weren't fitted and behind a desk, I did look boxy, but if I were standing, it would have been okay. But at a desk or sitting, I realized like it wasn't doing me any favors, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I
Yeah.
think I don't know. So like, yeah, there are things that you just learn. I mean, everybody learns that as people, but I do run into a heck of a lot of people where I'm like, dear Lord, she should not be wearing that pattern. And it's like they just don't have the same level of I guess awareness
Awareness.
of
Yeah.
how it looks on you
Right.
to apply to it. Like for better or worse, we have a lot of awareness about how things look. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of like, I know looking at something like, hey, this looks really bad. It's going to look bad on camera when I turn to the side because it's not tight here. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't think everybody else thinks like that
Right. Well, and
necessarily.
also in our world where we would often buy very expensive clothing, but
Yeah.
cheaper clothing too, I feel like a solid color will always look more expensive than a pattern, especially if it's cheap, because it seems like a lot of the cheap clothes that are patterned are those tiny little like flowers and I feel like all of a sudden it looks like you're wearing, a $20 dress.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, yes. And there was a lot of that like color blocking or whatever a couple of years back. I didn't hate that, but it depends on where that color blocking is because I had one dress which made me look super skinny and I loved it. And I had another one which made me
Is
look
that the
like
blue and orange one?
I loved the blue and orange one.
Yeah,
Yes.
me
But then
too.
I had another one that was pink with black on it, and it was not
Yep.
good.
Oh
I
no,
was
I liked that one.
I was not good. No, not that pink and black one, a different pink and black one.
Oh, okay.
You
Not the
probably
sleeveless.
only saw it once because I was like, "Oh
Oh,
god. Not wearing that
okay.
again."
Where are we? Number 4, women, wool, crepe, cotton with some spandex, lycra stretch, ponte knit, silk knit, substantial polyester blend fabrics, or worsted wool.
I never paid attention to any of this because
Yeah.
I don't think you could tell what the heck fabric you were wearing on the air. Like it didn't matter. The only thing I avoided was linen or like a cotton because it would never lay
Wrinkle.
flat and it would always look wrinkly. Aside from
Yeah.
that, I was in.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, me too. I agree.
Yeah, I didn't
All
care.
right, let's just hop to 5 then. Keep accessories simple. No large dangling, sparkly jewelry, scarves. Should be
No.
tucked, unless this is outside. Outside reporting, of course, wear a scarf. Scarves should be tucked inside jackets to look like a blouse. But now they're just talking about neck scarves. Avoid wearing noisy bracelets.
Okay. Well, like I didn't wear bracelets anyway. I didn't wear scarves. I'm a horrible accessorizer. I just don't think about it. Look, I don't have earrings in. I didn't even think about it. I have a necklace. I forgot. You know?
It's because to me, it was always the last thing that I would do would be put on jewelry. And so depending on if
Yeah.
I had that extra 30 seconds to put something in my ears or on my neck.
Half the time I didn't even wear my wedding ring, and then that prompted a whole new slew of problems.
Which we've talked about before. Absolutely. All right. There's only 2 more do's, Megan. Why don't you
Okay.
take them?
And these are for the men. Also, like, note, please, that there are lots of do's and lots of don'ts for women and very few for men. Okay. So, men, opt for solid color suits, navy, charcoal black, or dark gray. A very subtle stripe is acceptable. Slim cut, moderate. Okay. Can we just talk, please, about like what the guys are wearing, especially on like ESPN and NFL and all those like networks, those kinds of, networks where they're talking about sports? They are wearing fun stuff now and in just like totally owning like brighter colors, crazy patterns mixed together. So I don't understand why like men on TV cannot apply some style too, because I feel like they are
Because it
very
depends
like,
on where you are, and it was clearly against brand
yeah.
at certain stations.
Well, I mean, when we had Lionel on, Lionel is nothing if not the most stylish person ever. I mean, he has style. He will be in like the coolest, most hip things. He looks great in it. For God's sake, the man's done modeling things, right? Like he can pull
Right.
it off.
Right.
But wasn't really necessarily allowed to, which is kind of a bummer because he could have pulled it off,
Well, even 3-piece suits
Yeah.
were against code at one point, which I think they look fantastic. But yeah, you can see double-breasted is against code even for men.
I will say, and tell me what you think about this. For men, though, like where we said it doesn't really matter like what the fabric is necessarily, like you just avoid things that wrinkle when we were on the air. But for men, you can tell an expensive suit versus a cheap suit. Like it's real obvious. Like I know a lot of women on TV, and I mean all the way up to network levels, have all worn something not super expensive. You probably can't necessarily tell. But on a men's suit, oh my God. Like if you're buying it from a crappy store and it's a cheap suit and it doesn't fit well, you can see it.
Well, yeah, and I mean fitting well.
100%.
Fit can make something,
Yeah.
sink or swim for sure. Okay, we have one last do for the men where that this is interesting because I have heard contrary advice on this too. Wear white, off-white, or pastel shirts. I've had consultants say no man can wear a white shirt under the jacket. They preferred ecru. Wearing a nice ecru.
What?
Yeah, stay away from green pastels unless there's a reason. St. Patrick's Day. Don't wear dark red, orange, black, gray shirts with monochrome ties or white ties. Remember when Regis Philbin was big on
Yes.
and then that monochromatic look was big.
Yep.
Yeah.
I never loved that. And I don't like a black suit with a dark red shirt. Like I hate that look.
Well, no, you might as
not
well
like
be
it.
like a wedding DJ or something at that point. Right?
I don't know, Erin. Like, but I will say, I mean, how much of what you learned from your TV days do you apply when you're buying clothes now that I mean, I understand you still do some on camera stuff. I still do some on camera stuff. So we still have to think about it in the same way in that regard. But like, if you're just buying regular clothes, what goes through your head at this point? Do you think about that stuff?
I do. I think that it is now hardwired into my fashion DNA, right? I mean, I know V-necks make you look longer. It elongates you. Like I said, that's why I will never do a jewel neck. It's just something, I don't even think I own a t-shirt that's a jewel neck. They're all V-necks. So those lines for sure. Patterns, I did have some like from back in the day, but like I said, now I think it's easier to do solid and then it looks more expensive. Yeah. And then the patterns.
What about your like schlubby clothes? Like if
And
you're going to let's say you're not leaving the house, what are you wearing?
sweats.
Samesies.
Yeah.
Like a crappy t-shirt, sweatpants, and like some kind of sweatshirt, like comfy.
Yeah. As we've said before, we have like no middle ground of wardrobe. I have like Erin at a 10 or Erin at a 1.5.
I have a very big, actually, this is something that we can talk about. I actually have a really big issue, and this is a problem. I don't know what to wear to like go out to dinner at a like regular restaurant that's nice, but not enough to wear our slutty wedding dress stuff that we wore on TV. So it's like I have either crap-tastic or fabulous. There is no in between. And I know there's a level of in between that would like be what I should probably be aspiring to now. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Because it's not what you're wearing now. It's not what I'm wearing now. Because if you wore this to a restaurant, people are like, where's she coming from?
I
Where's
might
she
be
going?
okay with like jeans on,
Yeah.
you know, but this is like the only thing I have that might fit into that.
Yeah.
Like I'll stand in my closet surrounded by 700 slutty wedding dresses,
Sweaty dresses.
sweaty, slutties.
Same
And
thing.
then I will look to my stack of sweats and be like, I have nothing to wear. And
Right.
Lance will come in and be like, you have 7 million things in this closet. You've taken over most of my side of this closet. You've got plenty of things to wear. And I'm like, no, nothing that I
I
can
think
wear.
we should do another episode where we actually just go in our closets.
I mean, I'm up for it, Erin.
Yours is probably too messy, huh?
Oh, I'll share. You know, I don't care. Yes, it's an absolute poopy show.
And I've given away so many clothes. I would give clothes, what was it? Dress for Success to women who were entering the job market.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So when I left Chicago, and that was during the height of COVID too, just
I'm going to tell you something right now.
armloads of
Oh my
clothes.
gosh. I took a lot of my stuff to Goodwill, and I'm talking like $350 dresses. I'm like, never going to wear this again. Take it to Goodwill. But like, man, that Goodwill was the place to be if you were looking for slutty wedding dress clothes. I gave a lot of those away.
And all of my jackets with news logos on it because I
kept those. I know I kept those because I'm like, I have quite the collection, Erin. Like, did you get a jacket at every station you worked?
More than
Yeah, me
one,
too.
often, yeah.
Yeah, we've discussed this before, but like I hung on to mine, I think, usually.
I got a Christmas bonus one year of sweatpants with the logo on it too. Those were nice.
Oh, I got a Christmas bonus. This is going to sound so sad. It was a towel with the
That's
station logo
odd.
on it. In all fairness, it was a large beach towel.
Okay.
So I do still use it because it's a good towel.
Yeah.
For,
The
like, the
best
pool.
Christmas bonus I ever got was a whiskey glass.
Did you ever get a bonus in TV that was monetary?
No.
Neither did I.
This is a whole other episode. Yes. Megan, let's say that you're on air straight for 36 hours. Do you get extra money for that?
No, Erin.
No.
No extra money for that. Do you even necessarily get an extra day off for that?
Not if it's breaking news, because then you had to be there.
Yeah, no. So like everybody who's thinking like, oh man, that ABC station or NBC station in that market, oh man, they're number one. They must be getting a heck of a bonus at the end of the year. No.
Mm-mm.
No bonus. Meanwhile, I have friends who have, friends and family who work in the NBA or the NFL. They make the playoffs and they're like one of the best teams. They get enormous bonuses. Even if they're not one of the players, like they're working behind the scenes and doing something else, they still get a giant bonus because the team has made it to whatever point. If you're on a news team that's the best in the nation, you might win an Emmy that you then have to buy for yourself, but you don't get a bonus. You don't get anything for it.
No, yeah, our Emmys, mine that's right behind me, $300 a pop.
Yeah, I never even bought mine.
I did put mine under business expenses though.
Ooh, smart. I wonder if I could do that.
You can.
I literally I have 4 Emmys and that I never bought because I was like, it's like $350. That's a lot of money for a statue.
Pure gold.
Golden. It's probably chocolate. It's like a Willy Wonka chocolate bar.
Like everybody says, oh, it's heavier than you'd think.
Now, but everyone should understand when we're talking about Emmys, we're talking about different than what you're watching when you put the Emmys on and you're watching the Emmys on like it's big, big shows, right? It's not quite the same. There's like local, regional Emmys too, which will be like the best news stations from this chunk of the country. So that's what we're talking about.
Then broken down by market size. Yeah. So our biggest competitor in Chicago was Indianapolis.
Right.
But they're only ever regional, right? I don't think there are national news Emmys. There's national Murrows.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it is pretty interesting though, because everybody thinks like, oh my God, you have an Emmy. That's literally, and I'm like, no, not the same Emmy you're thinking about. Like it's an Emmy. Yes.
But I was like, yeah, it's kind of a racket. You have to pay to submit, pay to get the Emmy.
And I've worked for stations where they will submit and they will pay for you. And I've worked for stations where if you want an Emmy, you have to pay for the submission for yourself.
So. Yeah, I've done both. Or some kind of like a slide where they'll pay $100 of a $300 entry fee. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think we podcasted.
I know. Is that bad though? Is it bad when we do that? Maybe it's bad when we do that.
Please let us know if there are other topics that you want to hear about too. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Megan and I can go on for days. Megan, we still need to do pregnant while reporting, but I know you said you have some photos that you want to produce.
Yeah, we need to do pregnant while reporting for sure. That's a touchy one. And there's lots of, other things that go on and go along with that.
Well, and okay, so I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. If you didn't get a chance to watch Georgia last episode that we did with Georgia Fort, it was my favorite yet, and very much the most important conversation we've had yet. And the response has been so warm and enthusiastic online, which has been wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's been fun.
I feel like there are so many ways for us to talk about what we're talking about. Okay. There's like the funny stuff where we're discussing like clothing things or stories that happen to us or whatever. Then there's the bigger, broader picture of the industry as a whole and sort of where it's going wrong and
which
where
is not
it's
healthy.
going right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What implications to your life, all that stuff. Then there's like the bigger picture of, let's face it, this industry does in many ways dictate how people feel about politicians, about communities, about what's going on in the world around them. It has huge implications all across, like ripple effect across the globe. No question about that. So that conversation with Georgia fell into that bucket for me, where it's like, wow, if you're not questioning what you're hearing on any news and wondering how they're vetting their sources and whether or not they're really thinking about putting the news on because it's actually the news or whether they're just filling time, then you're going wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very eye-opening. And our eyes were already very opened too.
Our eyes were open.
But I still learned a lot. Yeah.
I learned a lot too, because as we said, like if you're coming from a certain background and a certain community, you are going to look at things differently than you would from another community. That doesn't make either one of you wrong or bad. It's why we have to have these conversations though, because sometimes you just don't know, right? You just don't understand the differences.
And now we know. And also please like and subscribe and turn on the notifications, right?
Yes. And also this is my newest chapstick, Erin. It's a Carmex Weather Guard. Got it just because it said weather on it. And I was like, fun.
I don't like Carmex.
I was just going to tell you, I feel like I'm eating it. This whole, like, I taste it.
I do Aquaphor.
I just wanted to share it. No. In case you missed me in the random things that randomly pop out of my mouth.
We'll also do makeup do's and don'ts.
Yes. Can we have
hopefully one of our makeup artists? Yeah.
I think that's important. Right. Some people, okay, we could go on forever, but we should.
I know we could. Thanks for watching.
One of these days, what we should do, I'm going against it a little bit. One of these days, what we should do, Erin's like, shut up, Megan.
No, I know your weather, so we know it's going to go.
Is literally, we should talk like we used to talk during the commercial breaks, like the random things we used to talk to each other about. I think that would be fun.
And all the jingles that we can still remember after hearing them.
Well, Lance told me I needed to take my car in because there was a little crack in my windshield. And I was like, safe flight repair, safe flight replace. And he's like,
I still hear your voice all the time, which I think was Willow's favorite. You can do what you want to do. With the senior living care, was that it?
Yes. Oh, God. Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right. Okay, let me press the button. Bye, everybody.
It's gone.